Welcome again to Brookside Story. I'm Quinn Schultz, a member here at Brookside Christian Reformed Church on the southeast side of Grand Rapids, Michigan. And with me is my friend and pastor.
Yeah, I'm Paul DeVries, one of the pastors here. I serve along with Nicole Davis as pastors here at Brookside.
Yeah, it's so great to see you today, Paul, in part because you've been gone for a while. And we missed you, and you got a nice applause there when you were back in the...
It was good to be back. It's good to be back.
Back in church on Sunday. So you have been on a sabbatical, and I know there are different ways of giving reports to a congregation about what a sabbatical is and what it meant for you and the like. And so I thought it would be great to do a little video on this.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so let's start out. When I think of a sabbatical, and I used to take them when I was a professor too, I think of part of it has to do with what we think of as the Sabbath, the sabbatical, the Sabbath.
Right.
Time of rest, sort of retreat from the world in order to get reoriented to what's really right and true and good and so forth in the world.
Right.
Has that rest been important for you in your sabbatical?
It has been. In fact, that was one of the number one goals of that, was to simply have rest and relaxation. Early on in ministry, I had some good mentors who talked about the importance of rest. Pastors have the difficulty, it's a 24/7 job, right? So how do you find those times when you're not only receiving physical rest, but also spiritual rest, when you're being ministered to, if you will?
Yeah, and I think it's so important for people in your profession to be able to do that, because it really is tough. You got so many things going on when you're working.
Right.
So now, let's talk a little bit about what you did during the time. And in addition to relaxing, and do you do any fishing or anything like that?
I did fishing, which I always do in the summer on my vacation, which my 6-week sabbatical was immediately followed by 3 weeks of vacation. So I got this nice chunk of time. We did fishing. We visited 3 different national parks out west. So we did a little travel. We spent a week at Lake Michigan with our small group, which again is a normal summer pattern. But normally I'm driving into work or preaching on one or both ends of that. And so this time I was just there with the family. It was a great time.
Okay, and what about quote unquote work while you're on sabbatical? In other words, when I would take an academic sabbatical, they would also expect me to do something.
Yeah, and it's similar with the sabbatical I took. So I wanted to do 2 things while on the sabbatical, and the one was to reflect on nearly 40 years of ministry now, and to think about what the next 4, 5, 6 years might be, depending on when I would retire, and see what lessons I've learned and also how to finish well. So that was one goal, and to that end, I went to Quiet Waters in Colorado. It connected with some national parks we wanted to visit out that direction, and spent an intense week every morning talking with someone who'd been around pastors all his life about what ministry means, what I've experienced, what I've come to understand, and what it would mean to finish well.
Were you able to feel that part of the sabbatical went well?
Yeah, that was very helpful. It was very, very helpful.
It scares me a little when you say finish well, because I don't want you to finish. I don't want you to think quite about finishing yet.
I hear you.
You know.
And I do think that's one of the hard parts. If you think too much about finishing, you're not well, so to speak. And that's one of the things we actually talked about in the sabbatical. I was reminded in that sabbatical, one of the things I was reminded of is Eugene Peterson's book going way back to when I was just finishing high school and starting college. Long Obedience.
Great
in
book.
the same direction, right?
Great
I read it while in college, but it didn't really resonate with me that much. And I was reminded of that book. It's that idea that we tend to look for quick fixes and quick solutions. And I was even aware in myself that thinking about, okay, how do I end with a bang? You want to go out on top, as they might say in the sports world, right.
I don't think we could quite make the sports salary for you. So
no.
Don't think
and
about
plus
that.
that lends itself towards an unhealthy self-focus. How am I going to end well, as opposed to what does it mean to just continue to walk faithfully with the Lord without getting all wrapped up in yourself and what I've accomplished. And
That's good for all of us.
It's good for
It's good for all of us.
every single one of us.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Now, you also mentioned to me that you had been working on some ideas that might be a booklet or a book, something like that.
Yeah, that's a second thing that I wanted to accomplish, if you will, work related on my sabbatical. I'm trying to collate and put down in writing some of my thoughts about preaching, some of my experience with preaching, how preaching has changed, how I formulate sermons. I talk about this informally with seminary students I mentor, but I've never tried to collate my thoughts into a book or a booklet form. So, and I was able to get some of that done, although not quite as much as I had hoped.
I love that project. I think the seminary students today, partly because of what's required in the curricula and how the seminary process works, may not have as much tutoring or mentoring in the preaching as you would hope, and maybe not as many experiences. In the Christian Reformed Church in particular, we used to have the evening services at almost every church, and now a lot of churches have knocked that out, so the seminarians don't have that possibility.
Right.
So I really encourage you to continue, if you can, to find a little bit of time on that. Besides, I'm curious about your process as well. I'll be the first buyer of that book or booklet because you're good at it.
Well, maybe I'll show you some stuff in advance because you're a pretty good speaker yourself and author, so it'd be interesting to get your feedback.
I would love to give you some feedback, but I expect to learn more from you than you would from me. Now, one of the things that happened while you were away, so to speak, is that your mother passed away.
Yeah. We knew my mother was declining. She's been in memory care, but she fell and then passed away very quickly over a 2-week period. And that actually consumed the last 2 weeks of my sabbatical, which was difficult. It's part of the reason I didn't get so much writing done. I was going to do mostly writing those 2 weeks. It was time for her to go to be with the Lord, but those last 2 weeks were sort of consumed with that. But the blessing part was, normally when this happens, a pastor has to figure out how to cover the pulpit, how to make sure his other work gets accomplished. And since I was already on sabbatical, I was really able just to be with my mom and then my extended family as they came in, and planning the funeral. And then I went on 3 weeks vacation in Maine, which involves fishing and family time.
So it was a blessing that happened in the sabbatical, even though it interrupted with what you would have expected.
Yeah, exactly.
What else would you like to talk about in terms of the sabbatical, the vacation, anything else that you'd like us to know?
Well, one of the things that struck me is because of my mom's death, the whole DeVries clan was together, and we haven't been together for many, many years because come from such a big family, 11 siblings. One has passed now, but and then no sooner is that done, the funeral was on a Thursday. Friday, I'm on the way to Maine, which is Diane's side of the family, the Vandenacker clan. Two very different families, but also very large families with cousins. It was just sort of interesting to experience those two families that close together in very different events. One is a funeral, one is a annual gathering around a lake. A reminder of the richness of God's blessings, the richness of family and friends, but also a reminder of how diverse, even two family groups, both coming and rising out of the CRC, Christian Reformed Church, the dysfunction and the functionality and the intersection of all of that, two families anyways, just in some ways, it brings me full circle back to long obedience in the same direction. Life is about faithfulness. It's not about getting everything right. It's not about always being functional. It's certainly not about always hitting the mountaintops and hitting the ball out of the park, to use a baseball metaphor. It's just day after day trying to live faithfully with the Lord.
Pastor Paul, we're grateful for you. You are a terrific preacher. I look forward to the book. I'm glad you got to spend extra time with your mother and family members, and we hope that we can continue to give you really good sabbatical time. Because
it's a blessing from the church.
Great. So thanks for watching, everybody. This is Brookside's story, and the sabbatical is part of the story of Brookside Christian Reformed Church, southeast side of Grand Rapids. Please join us. As I mentioned, Paul is an outstanding preacher, and we have great music and friendly congregation, at the corner of 36th and Kalamazoo on the southeast side of Grand Rapids. So we hope to see you here. Paul, again, thank you for doing this little video update.
My pleasure.
The congregation. Blessings, everybody.
God bless.